Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Public Policy Podcast, where we dissect public policies to uncover what works, what doesn't, and why. I'm your host, Adnan, and today we're diving into Morocco's rural water revolution and explore how a country with serious water challenges managed to bring clean water to millions of people in just a decade. So imagine this, it is the early 90s and you are Khadija Fessi, a 30-year-old woman with two kids. One is 5 years old and the other one is three, in rural Morocco, specifically in the Bin Slimane village. Your day starts with an early rise and heading on a 3-hour hike to get some water from a well located a few kilometers from your house, which you have to hold it and move with it in a plastic container. You have many challenges here. One of them is that you have to get back before the kids' breakfast time, and the other challenge is actually coming back with enough water for the family on that day. This while the husband is already off to work, the land, or something. That's not just inconvenient, it's a huge barrier to education, health, and growth. Girls missed school, and diseases like cholera and diarrhea were common because so much water was contaminated. Actually, about 40% of all diseases in Morocco in the 90s were water and hygiene related. Well, that's wild, like 40%. It's crazy. So in 1995, Morocco launched the PAGER program, the collective program to supply drinking water to rural populations. The goal was ambitious: connect 80% of rural households to piped water within 10 years. The project was managed by two government agencies, the General Directorate of Water and the National Office of Drinking Water, and which named ONEP. They had some help from the World Bank and other international donor agencies, but progress was very slow. By 2001, only half of rural households had access, and the original goal was clearly out of reach. The government realized that having two agencies in charge was a problem, so they handed full control to the ONEP, the National Water Utility, in 2004. That's when things really start to change. Now, let's talk about what happened after ONEP took over, or like when ONEP took over. Expanding water networks in rural Morocco wasn't just about laying pipes. The real challenge was keeping those systems running, fixing leaks, collecting payments, making sure the water was actually safe, and honestly, managing all that in a remote, scattered village environment. It's a big logistical nightmare. Also, a big nightmare on the administrative side. Financially, it was tough as well. Serving rural areas is way more expensive per person than in cities, and you can't just raise water prices for poor communities and it would lead to a political problem. So ONEP tried a bunch of different management models. They worked with community associations, hired local caretakers, and even small private contractors. But none of these really scaled very well. Associations sometimes ran out of money or just couldn't keep things going. By 2004, a quarter of local operations weren't providing consistent service. It's a quarter, that's a lot. Either because of water scarcity or poor management. So ONEP decided to try something new, bringing in a bigger private company or a couple companies, but keeping some public oversight. They started with pilot projects like the one in Mahaya, where a small Moroccan company took over maintenance and billing for about 16,000 people. The company was flexible, they could hire local workers, and actually fixed leaks faster than ONEP could. It was a real partnership, not just outsourcing. After that, they expanded the model and it was kind of successful. So by 2012, There were several 5-year contracts with companies like Sotradema and Aquatech, covering up to 100,000 people each. These companies handled everything from maintenance to billing, but ONEP still set the prices and kept control over the water supply itself. There were two main types of contracts: a fee-for-service type, where companies got paid for specific tasks, and an output-based aid, where they got bonuses for actually expanding access and building new connections. The output-based model, tested in places like Jorf El Melha, really pushed companies to deliver results. If they didn't, they'd lose money. But, it wasn't all smooth. Some companies like Aquatech actually lost money on these contracts, even though they created local jobs and improved the service. Still, the flexibility of mixing community associations, private companies, and government oversight turned out to be a big strength. It let them adapt to what worked best in each village and becoming more flexible. So, what did all this add up to? By 2015, Morocco reported that 94% of rural people had access to potable water, up from just about 61% in 2004. That is a huge increase. That's also more than 12 million people. That means actual lives mattered and impacted. Girls' school attendance shot up. Women no longer had to spend hours fetching water every day. Health improved too. Cholera was basically off or disappeared. And child mortality dropped by a lot. And there's always a but. Basically, about a quarter of those new connections had reliability issues. And this also begs the question and the debate about what access means. So if you say access to potable water, is it the same as access to clean water? Is it the same as the standards of Morocco's Ministry of Health? Is it the same standards and the same thresholds as the WHO? So this is a different topic. We're gonna maybe check it in another podcast. But here, yeah, this story basically just tells us that sometimes the water source could dry up and result into the reliability issues, or the system broke down because of poor management or old equipment. So who's responsible for renewing the equipment? So also financial sustainability. It is still a big question. Some companies made a profit, others didn't, and there weren't a ton of bidders for these contracts, which makes you wonder if the model is really attractive for the private sector long term or not. Funding from donors was crucial, especially for building infrastructure, but also as a government, you can't rely only on that forever. And of course, donor agencies, they're there to help in the development or in the infrastructure side, but not in the maintenance side. So the real trick here is finding a way for the system to pay for itself, at least enough to keep things running. And, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. In some villages, community associations still work best. In others, private companies were more efficient. The key is flexibility and local ownership. People had to feel like the project was theirs, not just something handed from above, and especially from the government. And I think that's the biggest lesson here: adaptability and flexibility. Could this work in other countries? Maybe. I know in Algeria it's a different situation. In Tunisia it's also a different situation. But only if you really listen to what local communities need and keep tweaking the model as you go is when you actually succeed. I remember reading about a village where, after years of failed systems, they finally got a setup that worked because everyone, including government, companies, villagers, had a stake in it, had a say in it, and basically contributed to it. So that's what made the difference. And at the same time, it makes me wonder, what does the situation look like in 2025, or what will it look like in 2030, now that all this climate change impacts on rural areas is aggravating the current situations. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can also join our newsletter for additional resources, updates, and exclusive content. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep exploring. This episode was produced at L Station with help from Nicholas Stuva. L Station is a partnership between L Space Social Innovation Hub and XI Talents.